What is up, man? We are back in Black in the building. Shout out to everybody out there at the Core Plantation. If you have to be at the Core Plantation doing what you need to do to survive, man, shout out to you. Roll call, shout out to everybody in Vegas. Shout out to all my siblings in Vegas handling business, doing what they need to do to survive. Man. Shout out to everybody out there. Man, I'm still laughing at this. Man, I don't. My sister sent me this text message because somebody was mad at the shirt she was wearing. Man, I was laughing my ass off. And my family is funny. I'm telling you, I'm still laughing at that shit. I don't want to say what she said, but that shit was funny. Oh man, but shout out to everybody. Shout out to all my sisters in Vegas. Oh man, my family's hilarious, man. Sometimes I'd be cracking up like, man, if we was on YouTube as a family, man, we'd be stars. They'd be stars because I'd be laughing like a motherfucker. But anyway, shout out to my peoples out there. Shout out to the homegirl, Erica, Florida in the building, aka Florida. Shout out to the homegirl, Shawnee, Philly in the building. Shout out to my brother, James Youngblood. Texas definitely in the building. Shout out to my brother, Dave for No Compromise. Georgia's definitely in the building. Shout out to the homegirl, Melina, all the way in North Carolina, aka North Kakalaka. Shout out to everyone out there, man. I had a pretty good conversation with one of my cousins yesterday as well. We were just chopping it out about different states and the weather and stuff like that. So I'll get into that. But Black Friday, man, let's get into it. Hey. Man. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I was going to do one, but I was relaxing, man. Just, relaxing, chilling. I just kind of wanted to soak it in and, just chilling, relaxing. We us as just people in general, man, we're such worker bees and everything is about work. And I remember this Core Plantation that I worked at. My siblings know, my cousins know, like people that know that was around me at that time when I worked in this department. Man, I worked every fucking holiday. I mean, when I worked every holiday, I worked every holiday. I never had a holiday off. I just worked every holiday because, you in that mode of got to get this money. So, after a couple of years of debriefing from that and not having to work the holidays and all that, this was kind of one of the first holidays that I was able to really legitly just relax, watch some football, chill, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that, man. And you have to take that time out. I was thinking about, traveling, going to different cities and states and stuff like that. So I kind of had a conversation with one of my cousins, my younger cousins. And, we were talking about like how different it is from a Vegas or California when you go to different states and how the racial dynamic is different. We had a great conversation because at first I thought it was just me, but then I've heard several other people say the same thing. And it's just different. Of course, it's Black Friday, so everybody's gonna be out and shopping and doing what they need to do and getting, whatever deals that they can get. But I feel like, sometimes it's good to just take it in. Me and her was chopping it up, and she just, where she's at is cold. She's in a state where it's cold, but the first thing I asked her, I was like, what's the racial dynamic? She's like, my bad. I hope y'all can hear me. Damn. Okay, cool. Y'all can hear me now. You know how that go. I damn near tipped the mic over. But she was like, because I was asking, I was like, what's the racial dynamic? Because I remember when I went to Denver, you know what I'm saying? I was there for a couple of days, I think about 3, 4, 5 days. And the racial dynamic was different there too. It was very different. And I was just asking her, because where she's at is super cold, very chill, low key. It's not that many black folk, a lot of white folk. Of course, we know that. Not that many Latinos. And I was asking, I was like, what's the racial dynamic? She was like, it's way different here, cuzzo. I was like, what you mean? She was like, black folk out here can get jobs because my homeboy Capone, RIP to him, in 2012, he was telling me, man, Warren G, you got to start going to these low-key states. And I was like, nah, at the time, like, nah, fuck that. I ain't trying to, I remember one time I was like, man, that's too many dominant society and too many white people and all that. And I remember my nigga Capone was like, nigga, where you at is a whole bunch of white people too in Vegas. They the ones who run Vegas. What's the difference, nigga? And then he younger than me. And he broke it down. And Cap was like, nigga, oh, here's the difference. He's like, here's the difference. You basically got to compete with everybody else to get a job. He told me this in 2012. I was even having this conversation with one of my siblings too. And that's the thing that I kind of wish we did more traveling. That my mom pushed the limit to travel more, because you start to see we're socialized here on the West Coast, Cali, Vegas, like, oh, you want to go down south. You don't want to go to them states like Iowa and Nebraska and North and South Dakota and all those states. You don't want to go to them states. It ain't number white people out there. What about Georgia? You want to go to Georgia? That's the South. You don't want to. Well, what about Atlanta? Yeah, Atlanta, cool, but you don't want to go. You know what I mean? Like, you get those predetermined, like, you don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So my cousin that moved, she in the state where it's cold, it's snowing, we chopping it up, and she like, cuzzo, the fucking racial dynamic is way different. And I'm like, what you mean? She was like, it's super different from Vegas and Cali. And I was like, what you mean? And she broke it down. She was just like, out where I'm at, she was like, black folk got more. She was like, you dealing with upfront and blunt white people. If they don't fuck with you, they don't fuck with you, cuzzo. She was like, it ain't like Cali and Vegas where they act like they fuck with you, but they be putting all these immigrants in charge. She was like, it ain't like that where I'm at. And I was thinking the same thing. And I was like, man. And she was like, it is. She was like, it's kind of like the South. It's cold as a motherfucker, but she was like, it's totally different. I was like, what about the immigrants? She was like, it's hardly any immigrants out here. It's a lot of dominant society people and, black folk. And I just kept asking her, I was like, how do you feel about the racial conditions there? And she was like, honestly, cuzzo, like, I was able to get a job here quicker. You know what I mean? She was like, damn the cheapness and all the other shit. I was just able to get a job quicker. And, it's just different. It ain't. She was like, we come from, cause she stayed in Vegas too. And in California, like a lot of my siblings and my brother and everyone. And she was like, how in Vegas, like, yeah, you can get a job, but you're gonna be dealing with like a lot of immigrants, and you know how they treat us on the job and stuff like that. And I was like, right. She was like, you don't really get that out here. She was like, most likely it's gonna be like a white person in charge. You know what I'm saying? And they more kind of like, can you do the job? Okay, you can do the job. All right, cool. And they just kind of going about their way. She was like, it's way the racial climate in places like this, cause those way different from like Cali and Vegas. And I've been saying that for a minute. I've been saying that with my sisters. They've been telling me shit like that. My younger sisters, my older sister was telling me like, man, these motherfucking immigrants is out of control out here in Vegas. And I started thinking, and I was like, man, I got to start, doing some traveling, stuff like that. And I kind of was. I went to Denver and checked it out, stuff like that. And I wanted to go. Like I said, if that paper was right, I probably would have just moved to Georgia. I ain't gonna lie. Covington, Georgia, David O'Connor, James, Youngblood, my sisters, they knew that too. That was kind of like where I wanted to go. If I had paper the way I want, I would have definitely moved to Covington. I would have. I had a coworker that, I worked with him at Opportunity Village 20 years ago, and I had seen him 20 years later, and he was like, nigga, I had to come back from Georgia. I was like, damn, what part of Georgia? He was like 30 minutes outside of Atlanta. He's like, man, I had a fresh ass crib, everything. But, one of the mothers of his children was like, nah, you got to come back. Cause I don't want, she didn't want to let her kid go way out there. And I understand that. And he was disappointed, but he wasn't disappointed. And I was like, damn. And he said the same thing. He said, the racial climate out there in places like Georgia is way different. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, they blunt up front. If they don't fuck with black people, they just gonna let you know they don't fuck with black people. That's it. They're not gonna play no games. It ain't gonna be no you know, that fake corporate, he said it. He's like, you know, that fake corporate mentality. He's like, they're not going to do that there. He was like, a lot of places, me and him chopped it up. This was about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And he was like, man, it's a lot of places like that out there, bro. And I was like, what you mean? And he was just like, you start going to them states like the Montanas and the Nebraskas, the Iowas, all those places, man, where it's predominantly white people. He's like, it's way different than like what they want people to believe. He's like, a lot of people tell you not to go out there because they don't know how to conduct themselves and they don't know how to just kind of be one with who they are. He's like, but man, I would much rather deal with white folk that's blunt up front than fake ass white people, you know what I'm saying, at these jobs. You know them corporate motherfuckers, that's exactly what he said. That smile with you, then they plotting to try to fire you, get you out there. He's like, places like Georgia and the places where it's dominant white people. He told me this. This was, I would have been told this by Capone, Cap, and then by him. He was like, man, especially Georgia. He's like, yeah, you know, it is the South. Of course, we know the South, the KK, we know all that. But at the end of the day, you know where you stand. He was like, out here and in Cali, and man, you don't really know where you stand. He was like, and then the immigrants, he's like, it's out of control. And this was like 4 or 5 years ago when he was talking, my homeboy was talking about this shit. Just a dude I used to work with at Opportunity Village, and we ended up chopping it up. So then, you know, when I'm talking to my cousin, she's like, she said the same shit. I didn't mention anything. She was like, honestly, cousin, she's like, these white people out here are like straight up. Like, if they don't really fuck with you, you gonna know, because they gonna let it be known, kind of like, we're not used to having a whole bunch of black people out here. She was like, but it's just different. She was like, you ain't competing with immigrants and everything else. And I was like, how you like that? She was like, I love it, because I ended up getting me a decent job and I didn't have to be competing with immigrants. And you know how messy they are and on the job. And then, you know, when you live in the neighborhoods, you know, especially immigrants, she was like, no matter who they are, they want to have 1,000 parties and 100,000 motherfuckers on the street. She was like, it ain't none of that shit out here. I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? And we just had that talk, and I was like, what is everybody? She was like, man, you know, some people are like, oh, Black Friday, whatever, but some people like, man, it's more, she was like, cause it was more just kind of like based on like, you know, your comfort level and, you know, having a peace of mind. I said, how you like? She was like, I just like the peace and quiet. She was like, you know, come from Cali and Vegas, you know, there's certain times where you get peace and quiet in Vegas. Don't get it wrong. It ain't a war zone all day, every day, but, you know, there's a lot of times where it's hard to get peace and quiet. And I was like, that's a fact. She was like, so it's just different. She was like, my thing is what I tell people. She was like, what I tell people, she was like, you know, you just got to be prepared for the snow and shit like that, because where she at, it snowed like a motherfucker. It was like 6 degrees when we was on the phone. Then once we got off the phone, that shit was like 0 degrees. And it was just a great conversation because I really wanted to pick her brain, because my older sister was telling me that. My older sister, Tasha, was telling me that. She was like, man, these immigrants is out of control, man. So that's why I was just like, I'm trying to base it on like what Vegas people deal with, because I moved from Vegas too. That's why you hear me shouting out Vegas, but I've been moving and I've been kind of gathering, and then because I'm probably like 10 hours away from my cousin, and I'm like 9 hours away from Vegas. And I made a concerted effort. I did my research and did everything. Like I said, my destination was Covington. David from No Compromise know that. Like, that was like, man, if I'd had that paper like that to move all my shit, I'd have been in Covington. I'd have been in Covington in a damn near brand new home on an acre of land, because Georgia is, God bless Georgia for giving out that space like that, man. And so many people have told me how beautiful Georgia is. So many people like, man, it's beautiful out there. And I wanted, but I was like, you know what I mean? I didn't want to go out there and be, you know, just struggling like a motherfucker, like needing a life raft type shit. So, you know what I'm saying? For what I wanted, because I wanted like an acre or whatever, and I couldn't get it. And I could have found something else, but it was just, man, it was about to beat up the pockets type shit. And I don't want to go into like all the details, but that'll always be a destination that I would like to live, whether it's the summertime or the wintertime or stuff like that, just because, you know, it's ancestral ground. It's all ancestral ground too. But yeah, you know, My cousin, she was telling me too. She was just like, man. She was like, man, shit shut down at like 8, 9 o'clock. I was like, how is that compared to Vegas? She was like, at first it was difficult. Because where I'm at, it wasn't difficult for me because I'm older. See, my cousin and them, they younger. So, and my little sisters and them, they younger. So, you know, they want to kick it. And I understand that. If you want to kick it and chill and have a nightlife, Vegas is the place to live. But if you over that and you ready to kind of have some peace and quiet, you want to do it. Because where my cousin at, a lot of California people moving, and where I'm at, a lot of California people are, a lot of California people are moving out here. But I can tell you one thing. I'm gonna tell you one thing. The dominant society out here, they don't play that immigrant shit like a motherfucker. They don't play that immigrant shit. Because I asked my cousin, I was like, do white people be coming up to you like, hey, we got here? She was like, yeah. I was like, I'm telling you. That's why I be telling, like, when I was in Vegas still, I was telling a lot of black folk, I'm like, man, you better think about moving out. Because where my cousin live at, Cap, my homeboy Cap, told me to move there. He told me in 2012 to move there. He's like, you got to get out of that, Warren G. Like, you got to get out of that. He broke it down. He put me on blast. He's like, nigga, ain't it white people that run where you work at? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so then what the fuck is the difference? He was like, man, at least out there, he was like, at least out here where I'm at, man, Warren G, you get you a real nice home. And when I'm like, he's like, nigga, you better start looking at the South. You better start looking at these other states. R.I.P. to Capone. I was just telling my little sister that. I was like, because he died the same time as my mom. And he was, in 2012, he was damn near like, Warren G, man, see if your job will let you transfer out there. Like, you got to get out of that, dog. Because, you know, Vegas, nigga, Vegas. Like, nigga, I'm from Vegas, born and raised, nigga, and I don't want to be there. He's like, man, see if you can, you need to travel, dog. Like, see this shit, man, because it's more to life than just Vegas. And I was just like, at the time, I was very stubborn and bullheaded. But over the years, I would say 2016, 2017, from 2012, about 5, 6, 7 years later, I was like, damn, Cat, R.I.P. to Cat, but he was right. And that's when I went to Denver. When I went to Denver, it was a little different vibe. You know what I'm saying? It was different. I liked it. You know what I'm saying? Then when I visited Idaho, it was very different. Very different. I think the difference from places like Idaho and stuff like that, Idaho grow their own shit. They got farms everywhere. They got plenty of water. They got a lot of natural resources. And that kind of sparked my interest of like, man, maybe it's time for me to go. And you know what I mean? Like, that's why I was like, all right, it's time for me to go. And then my cousin, she shook the spot. And I know my older sister, Tasha, she was already kind of talking about like, man, I'm over Vegas. So listening to these things, I'm like, damn, maybe, you know, I'm glad I kind of did that move. And I do highly suggest that we start traveling. We start looking at other places to live. Look at the resources at these other places. And the reason why I touted it Black Friday is because, of course, it's the sales and all this other stuff. But there's a deeper meaning in the other states. Like when I was talking to my cousin, she was like, man, most people out here, cuzzo, they just cook, chill, relax, and just be with family. It's a different type of mindset. I was like, what you mean? She's like, man, it shut down like 9 o'clock and it be snowing like a motherfucker out here. So like, you know, people more just want to be with their fam and just chill, relax, and be in the house. It ain't like Vegas where it'll be 50, 60 degrees and niggas can go out, go on the strip, and go kick it. She was like, it's a totally different lifestyle. And I was like, yep, where I'm at, it's the same fucking way. Totally different lifestyle. Like, totally different. You know what I mean? And I think now's the time. Yeah, you want to do your shopping, but just look around you. You know what I mean? Look around you. I'm pretty sure every state is different, but a lot of states, I feel like the North Carolinas, the South Carolinas, the Georgias, the Texases, yeah, of course, there's the Black Friday, the shopping, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot of families going to the movies together, a lot of families doing movie nights, chilling, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you like, Warren, what you mean? Because West Coast, to me, is too Hollywood, man. We wasn't like that. My mom's alive, you know, yeah, there'll be times where, you know, of course, every family don't have, you know, had their ups and downs and everybody not getting along. But for the most part, when my mom's alive, My mom's wasn't really into let's go to the strip and let's go gamble and all that. My mom's was into I'm a cook and y'all niggas need to bring y'all punk asses over to the house and we're gonna watch some football and we gonna talk this shit. That's how it was. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of the times West Coast we have lost that integrous part of us of, you know, chilling, relaxing, enjoying the day. Too many people want to just go out and shop, because that's what I was asking my cousin. She was like, nigga, yeah, it's people that want to go out and shop, but they usually just bring their ass home. She was like, it's really peaceful and quiet at night. It's just quiet in the mornings, peaceful and quiet at night. I was like, do it fuck with you a little bit? And she was like, at first it did, but now I like it. Because that's how I was. When I went to Denver, it was a little quiet. But when I went to Idaho, because I'm telling you, when I went there twice, it was peaceful and quiet. And I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go. You know what I mean? It's time for me to go. And I met she met some black people where she at. I met some brothers out here and they was saying the same shit. They like, man, we trying to get our whole family to move out here. It's peaceful and quiet. The crime is low. Because that was another thing we was talking about. I was like, what's the crime rate? She was just like, the crime rate is really low because people just go to work, be with their family, go home and chill. It's a couple of bars, but you know, it's cold. You know what I'm saying? She was like, you ain't out there trying to really, you know, especially as a black person, you're not out there the same way. Shit, when I went to Denver, I went out there in the streets popping my collar. You know what I'm saying? But I know when I went to Idaho, I was at them farms though. I didn't show a lot of footage, but we was at them farms. I was at them motherfucking farms because I'm like, this is what you want. This is the resources you want because we don't have no farms in Vegas. So it was just very interesting to have that conversation because I was like, well, what about Black Friday? She was like, yeah, they kind of low-key be out here like that, but, you know, it's more of a family event, and that's where it is where I'm at. Where I'm at, it's a family event. Like, it's, man, the whole family be out chilling and kicking it. You know what I mean? So I just think we need to take Black Friday to you know, relax, chill, man. Enjoy your time off. If you have time, even if you worked, get off work and enjoy your time off to relax. You know what I mean? And I highly suggest travel. If you could afford to travel, travel. If you could afford. If you can't, I understand that. But if you could afford to travel, travel. You know what I mean? So you can see, you know, other towns and other states and how they get down and how their resources are handled. Because I know out there in Vegas, they really tripping with the water. I know they tripping with the water. I get those articles all the time come across my news feed. Plus, my sisters and them live out there, so they'll tell me all the bullshit that's going on. And I was asking my cousin too. I was like, how much is gas? She said gas out there, she was at like $2. God damn, $2? It ain't no niggas out there driving. She was like, it is. It's just niggas is going to work, chilling. You know what I'm saying? Maybe do a little retail and they go home, cause you know the city shut down like 9-10. And where I'm at, man, these businesses will shut the fuck down at like 8:30. Matter of fact, on Sunday, half these businesses don't be open. You like, oh, I can't deal with that. You know what? I love it. Sometimes it's like, damn, why this ain't open? But a lot of times I'm like, cause it ain't what I like. It ain't a lot of people on the roads at certain times. Like, you know, in Vegas, rain, sleet, and snow is gonna be a motherfucker on the freeway. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Where I'm at, where my cousin is, I was like, how much is car insurance? She was like, it's dirt cheap out here. I was like, 'cause it's cheap where I'm at too. It's cheap it's probably like $300 cheaper where I'm at. Straight up. It's like $300 cheaper. Only thing out here where I'm at, them housing prices ain't cheap. These motherfuckers want an arm and a leg for it. But you know what though? It's an arm and a leg for a brand new home. You know what I'm saying? That's why I suggest people too, man, get you something new. If you can afford it, get something new. You know what I'm saying? And treat yourself and set a standard for yourself. That's what I was telling my family, man, y'all need to start traveling. I was telling my sisters that y'all need to start traveling. You don't want to be in Vegas for no 30 fucking years and you're missing out on other states. And you know what I mean? That's why I was like, man, I had to do something else. Cause like I said, my destination was Covington. I was looking at Texas at first and I was like, let me try Covington. Let me try Texas. Let me try Georgia, somewhere around Atlanta. And I was looking at Douglasville. I looked at Lawrenceville. I looked at Covington, and I liked Covington because Covington was up and coming. But I was like, God damn, that paper ain't straight like that. And it's okay to admit that your paper ain't where it's supposed to be. God damn, we humans. You know what I mean? So I just was kind of like, but it's still a destination. You know, I get my paper straight. I try to buy me a little property out there and go fuck with David and chop it up with him. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it was a beautiful thing. And where I'm at, oh, shit. Look, I'm talking about where I'm at, but I ain't even said where I'm at, though. Oh, yeah, it's black people. Oh, yeah, it's black people. It's black barbershops, all that shit. Yup. But, you know, the black people out here, to me, are pretty chill. You know, we chop it up with each other. I'm talking about foundational black Americans. I'm not talking about no fucking immigrants. Like I said, I met some FBA brothers at the gas station, and we chopped it up for like 45 minutes. We just chopped it up. Like, that's all we did was just chop it up about LA and Vegas and how different it is here. And one of the brothers, he's from LA. He was from, I think Hyde Park and Crenshaw, if I'm not mistaken. And he said he was getting a lot of grief from his people. He was like, why the fuck you moving out there with all them white people? Ooh, man, fuck that. I can't be out there. And then when he showed him, you know, he done purchased a home. He's got a good, decent job. You're not dealing with you're not competing with immigrants. Cause I said you're not competing with, he was like, nigga, you not lying. I'm like, exactly. He's like, man. And now he said a lot of his family will come and visit to kind of check it out and be like, damn, it's quiet out here. A lot of his family started moving out here. That's what I was telling my little sisters. I'm like, look, man, y'all come out here to visit me. Y'all, first you're going to be like, man, it ain't like Vegas. But then as you get older, you want that peace and quiet and that peace and tranquility. You know what I mean? You want that peace. That's why I knew moving to Covington, I'm going to just be around black folk and white folk. And I'm going to end mine with this because I want y'all to understand where Warren's coming from. I don't want people to agree. See, when you talk to people that have lived in Georgia, they're going to say the same thing as Warren. They like, look, like my boy that lived in Georgia, he told me, he said, Warren G. I'll never forget. He said, Warren G. He said, Vegas is cool. Vegas is straight. He's like, but Vegas opportunities were good in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. It's too late. It's too many immigrants out here. You got to compete with too many people. He said it's almost like Cali a little bit, especially with the, you know, the football and all, you know, all these damn stadiums and shit. And I'm just listening to him. I'm just listening. You know, he was like, people could say whatever the fuck they want to say about the South and, you know, the other states. Like, he named like Nebraska, Montana, and all those other states, the Iowas and all that, right? And then he started naming the Georgias and North Carolinas. He's like, let me tell you, he's like, them other states ain't nothing but the South but cold. I was like, for real? He's like, yeah. He's like, but man, that's what you want, bros. And I was like, why? Why would you want that? He's like, cuz, man, you know what you're dealing with. He was like, man, wouldn't you rather want a white person be like, look, I don't really fuck with black people like that. So you know how to move, or do you want somebody that's gonna be like fake with you, but really don't fuck with you? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, nah, you got a point. And he just was like, there's better opportunities living in the South. He said it straight out. He's like, better opportunities. He's like, man, most white people, he said it. And David could correct me if I'm wrong. He's like, man, when you in the South, most white people, if they don't fuck with you, they just don't come fuck with you. He's like, but the white people that fuck with black people, like on a courteous way, they gonna be nice. He's like, but you gotta remember, it's the South. All we grew up around, he's like, those white people and those black people, they only grew up around each other. So they're not, even if they have a disdain for black people, they're not gonna let any immigrants come in there and run shit because they have been so conditioned for it to just be black and white people. And I didn't think nothing about it. Just like, damn, that makes a point. And then I listened to Big Gip. Big Gip did a podcast and he was like, let me tell you something. Out here in Georgia, we only grew up around white folk. We didn't grow up around Latinos. So we're not concerned about them because they're not the major it factor in Georgia. And I was like, damn, my boy was saying that like 4 or 5 years ago. He was like, man, I suggest you go travel and move, bro. He was like, even look at your job. He was like, look, you probably like the only black person that worked there. He's like, you might as well go move somewhere where it's just white and black folk. He's like, at least you know what you're dealing with. He's like, just look at your situation. I had to look at it. I was like the only black person. It wasn't nothing but Latinos and a sprinkle of white people. You know, a lot of Latinos, when they get on these jobs, they will replicate the behavior of the dominant society. That's a fact. Yep, that's a fact. So I had to look at that. You know what I mean? And, you know, he just was like, man, all them other states, they ain't nothing but southern states, but cold. He's like, all them states are like, they like big time good old boy states. He said, it's just, Georgia has decent weather. So you don't have to worry about, you know, too much snow and all. He's like, that's why a lot of people like Georgia too, because they weather is decent. He's like, and two, it's a lot of black businesses in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So you bound to work for a black person or a white person. That's all you're going to be dealing with. You're not going to be dealing with all this extra shit like out here in Vegas. He's like, man, I fucking hate Vegas. Like, I can't wait till my kid get older. I'm moving back to the South, whether it's North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. He was just like, man, he was like, I even moved to like Nebraska, something like that. I just, you know, it's too many immigrants. So when I talked to my cousin, she's like, nah, they don't play that shit out here. And I'm like, they don't play that shit out here either. That's how I knew Trump was going to win. That's why I wasn't saying nothing during the election, because I'm like, I'm seeing Trump signs everywhere. Everywhere where I'm at. I'm talking about good. It reminded me of Vegas in the 90s, because Vegas was a Republican. See, people don't know this. Nevada was a Republican good old boy state in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It wasn't a liberal state. Man, when I moved to Vegas in 2000, Kenny Gwynn was the fucking governor. He was a Republican. I remember I told you at that time, his grandson, I worked with his grandson was like, man, we don't see one of them immigrants with a gardening tool in their hand. They don't belong here. It was a straight good old boy state. And I remember my mom would be complaining about how I was going from good old boy to like liberal and having all these fucking illegal immigrants over here. And she did not like that shit. And as a kid, I didn't get it. I'm 20, 21, you know, you like, oh, everybody cool. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, it ain't that bad. But as you get older, you like, wait, hold on. Why am I competing with an immigrant? You know what I'm saying? Or somebody that ran from somewhere and came here, because Vegas in the 80s and the 90s didn't really have no immigrants, like really no Latinos like that. But man, mid 2000s, oh my God. It was just an influx of them. And it ain't that we have I don't have a problem per se, but what I don't like about immigrants or just other racial groups, they try to tell black folk on how we should conduct ourselves. And that's why I'm like, man, I'm sick of this shit. You know what I'm saying? After talking to Cap getting on my ass about it, and talking to the homeboy that I work with, Opportunity Village, he was like encouraging me, go travel, go look somewhere else. Bro, I'm telling you, man, you're not going to be competing with that. And coming where I'm at, oh, man. Let me tell y'all something. Them black folk that moved to the South, the North Carolinas, the South Carolinas, the Georgias, like David and them, they geniuses. Let me tell you why they geniuses. All they have to deal with is their people and white people. That's it. You ain't got to be dealing with, oh, where you from? Oh, you from the Dominican Republic. Oh, you Puerto Rican. Oh, okay, you're Costa Rican. That's what you was dealing with in Vegas. Like, I had to tell this Costa Rican dude, I was like, man, you be doing a lot of complaining about the United States. Why don't you just go to Costa Rica? Why you here? Oh, well, because, you know, there's better opportunity here. That's what I'm saying. But then when you move to places like where my cousin was at, the South and North here, North Dakotas, and where my man Dave from No Compromise is at, and James Youngblood, Texas, when you move those places, especially like Georgia, I don't think Georgia's playing the bullshit. You're not finna tell no black people what the fuck they supposed to be doing. So, you know, I just wanted to, you know, chop it up and talk about that, because I thought it was really prevalent. And I'm very happy that I moved. The black folk that I talk to out here, they be saying the same shit. They like, man, it was a little different for me, a little culture shock, you know, especially West Coast people, because West Coast, we so used to seeing Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Mexicans. You know what I mean? The Latino culture is really heavy in Cali and in Vegas. It's really heavy. So when you come to a place like this, it's very different. You know, I remember a brother was like, man, I bet these white people be coming to you, you know, especially when I had my Vegas plates. Oh my God. Man, it'd be so many. I mean, these good old boys. I'm talking about good old boys with the belt buckles and the cowboy boots, and man, we're glad you're here, man. You're going to really love it here. And at first, I was just like, man, what the fuck these motherfuckers on? But I remember, I'm telling them brothers at the gas station, it's like, nah, bro. They just don't fuck with the immigrants, and they don't really fuck with them like that. And I was like, that's different. He was like, I know. It's going to take you some while to get used to. He was like, it's not easy to get used to because you coming from Cali and Vegas is so fake and phony. And let me tell you something. Immigrants out there in California and Vegas are very arrogant. Very arrogant. They think they run the neighborhoods. They think they shit don't stink. They think they built Vegas. You know what I mean? Like some of, but it's very different here. Oh, no. You're not going to be playing that music and all loud and make it No. Not with Jim Bob up the street. So it's like, when you dealing with the South, like this sister I work with at the Court Plantation, she told me this too, and I should have caught on to it. She was like, you need to move to the South, Warren G, or you need to move. She started naming like, you need to move to like Iowa, or you need to get the fuck out of Vegas. I was like, why you say that? She was like, cause y'all got way too many immigrants out there. I was like, damn, how you know? She was like, I done visited Vegas. Y'all got way too many. And I was like, why you want me to move? She was like, cause at least South, you only dealing with white people and black people. She was like, that's an even kill right there. She was like, why you think everybody moving to Texas? Or she was like, even though it's a heavily populated Latino state, she was like, but why you think a lot of people going to North and South Carolina and going to Georgia? She was like, why you think all these black people are moving to Georgia? You only dealing with white black people. You're not dealing with all these other racial groups. And if there are other racial groups that are there, they're very quiet because they're outnumbered. And I was like, damn, you ain't lying. And this was like 2 years ago. So now that I'm at this conjuncture where, I'm moving, I'm happy. I'm very glad that I've got out of there. And man, I'm telling my sisters too, just encourage them to go travel and go look at other things, man, because these border states, the Calis, the Arizonas, the New Yorks, the Floridas, too many immigrants for me, man. Too many immigrants for me. I can't do it. So look, a lot of people might be like, what the fuck did Warren move there? But now motherfuckers is seeing. Like me and my cousin was talking about, I was like, yo, both your states Republican. She was like, yup. And they don't play none of that shit out here. I was like, they don't play that shit out here like that either. Hell no. They very cordial to other racial groups, but you're not the dominant group out here at all. I remember I met this elderly white lady out here where I'm at. Man, she was going in about the immigrants. Oh man, she was going in. She was going in. I was laughing. And I was laughing? Because I'm like, well, them white people on them border states created this bullshit. If they would have been shutting down the borders a long time ago, this wouldn't be this way. And that's what I told her. She was like, yeah, you're right. Because think about it. A lot of these old school white folk, they just used to dealing with black people. And a lot of them are courteous. That doesn't mean you take their kindness for some other shit like Jim Bob gonna be your friend. No, you just nod, hey, how you going? And going about your way. But I can tell you this, me being out here and collecting data from here and being in Vegas, oh no. Everybody, the labor force out here ain't number white folk. No. It's not like Vegas. It's not dominated by immigrants. You're not going to go in a casino and see somebody from the East Sudan dealing cards like you see in Vegas, which is an abomination to Americans, bro. Yep. You're not going to see that out here. When you go in these gas stations, you don't see welcome to 7-Eleven. No. Not gonna see that. When you go to these restaurants, it's either gonna be some black people working there or some white folk. And if it is another racial group working there, they are on point. And it fucked with me too at first. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck have I done? But as I start meeting, brothers, they like, look, bro, it's going to take you some while to get used to, but you're going to end up liking it. And honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, best move ever. That's why I started telling my siblings, like, y'all niggas need to get the fuck up out of Vegas when you can. When you can, get the fuck up out of there. Ain't no way I'm going to pay an overpriced for a crib, and then I got to be competing at the job with a bunch of immigrants that want to treat me like a second-class citizen, as Dr. Claude Anderson stated. That's why I was like, fuck this. If I'm not going to Georgia, I'm going somewhere, David. I'm going somewhere. Shit. Man. But I'll discuss more about it. I was just me and my cousin, we was having a great conversation about it. And I told her, that I was proud of her. Like, man, just stay out there and do your thing. Because I was telling her, I was like, I don't know, have you talked to, I was like, as if she talked to one of my sisters, I was like, they don't want to be out there in Vegas like that. They're dealing with that bullshit. Man, if it was some casinos and shit where my cousin was and where I was, man, my sisters would have been moved the fuck away from Vegas. Shit. Because, man, ain't nobody trying to be competing with no damn immigrants. Going to the hospital, ain't no immigrants working at the hospital. Nope. Dominant society of black folk. I said, damn. And it do take you somewhere to get used to. And I'm going to end it with this. You know what it took me so long? You know what took me, a lot to get used to? It wasn't a lot of immigrants out here, and the dominant society that's out here, the good old boys are blunt up front. Just like everybody was telling me. Blunt and upfront. Everybody that has told me that's moved to like Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I got a coworker. Then I got a homegirl, Melinda, that live in North Carolina. She was telling me the same thing. She's like, Warren G, you need to travel. You need to get the fuck up out of Vegas. Yep. She was like, because I know y'all immigrant shit out there is crazy. She was like, yeah, it's a couple immigrants, but it's too many white people out here, and they not finna let that happen. That's just not gonna happen out here in North Carolina. Yep. She was like, it ain't gonna happen in Georgia either. It ain't gonna happen in South Carolina. It ain't gonna happen in New Orleans. She was like, why you think a lot of black people are moving to them states, Warren G? And I was like, damn, you right. She was like, because, man, them border states, y'all out of control with the immigration and all them immigrants. Fuck that. She was like, well, I'd rather deal with these white people. She was like, She was like, no. She was like, they try to treat us worse than the white folk. And I was like, man. Because I was kind of telling her my experience on the court plantation with, other racial groups that are not white. She's like, they worse than the white people. And I said, I think it is, trying to be an honorary white supremacist. And she was like, that could be true too. And I was just like, man. And I told her, I was like, I started traveling, doing a little traveling, and I'm thankful, man. I'm glad I got the fuck out of here. Let me tell you something. Peace and tranquility is priceless. And it's hard to replace that. And I suggest anybody on the West Coast, go travel. Go to Seattle. Go to Washington. Go to Oregon. Thank God for Oregon, by the way, because Oregon got that. You know what? Man. And I'm close to Oregon, too. But I'm telling you, go travel. Go to Iowa. Go to Georgia. Go to North Carolina. Go to South Carolina. Go to Virginia. Go to the DMV area. Travel. Go to these places and see their makeup and how they do things, man. Because I love Vegas and I love California, but Vegas and Cali is not the end-all, be-all. You know what I mean? It's just not. Like where my cousin live at, shit. And I ain't trying to put all the business out there, but I looked before she even told me. She moved out there before I even found out she moved out there, because I was looking at real estate shit out there. Yeah, the real estate ain't cheap, but man, shit, you getting bang for your buck out there. Shit. Yeah, it's cold, and I get it. I never grew up around the cold, so it didn't really bother me. You know what I mean? That's why I was looking there, because I was like, well, when you live in an oven for 24 years, you will welcome the cold. Because Vegas is literally an oven from May to October. So you count those months. And be beating up the goddamn power bill like a motherfucker. That's another thing my sister's gonna be telling me about. It's expensive as fuck out there in Vegas. So it's like, I just think we all should travel, enjoy your Black, Friday, and just, put your little bit of money to decide if you can and start to travel. Go to these different states. Whether you like it or not, go to your Nebraskas. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. Where I'm at, let me tell you where I'm at. Man, it's farm central. It's farms everywhere. I'm talking about farms where you can go on the farm and literally get your meat. Get your chicken. Oh, you want some bread? Oh, there's a real bakery with the bread. Oh, you want some bison? You want some real meat? Not In-N-Out meat. You want real meat that ain't gonna destroy you, that these people are making? You better move somewhere where they got agriculture and they got resources. because that was the number one thing that I was studying. I was looking at. I knew Georgia had plenty of resources, so I wasn't tripping about that. That's why I looked at Georgia. I knew North Carolina and South Carolina had plenty of resources. And you're like, Warren, what do you mean resources? Food, water. They don't have to get it bust in all the time. You know, Vegas, we have no agriculture, no water, no nothing. Everything gets driven in. What happens if they can't drive that in? Pandemonium. What happened when we couldn't get water and toilet tissue the last time? It was total fucking chaos. And where I'm at, I asked those people. I said, when a lot of states couldn't get water, like, was it like that out here? They was like, we were just like, wow, that sucks. They can't get water. So don't think I wasn't thinking. I'm like, damn, all these fucking farms are like it's farms town. Matter of fact, where I'm living, this is where In-N-Out gets their potatoes from. Matter of fact, a lot of states get their potatoes from where I'm at. A lot of them. So it you know, when you start asking and doing the research, you start to learn a lot. Oh yeah, the farms, yeah, that farmer, they sell the corn to this state. That farm over there, they do the sunflowers. This farm just grows the meat with the cows, the bison, and I'm like, damn. And then you go to the restaurants and you're like, damn, this food is good. And they like, oh, this is from this local farm. And we got that from that local farm. Yeah, no, we don't ship it in. We get it from our farms. So that's what really made me think like, oh, okay. Because I'm not used to that, because I didn't grow up around farms in Cali. I didn't grow up around farms in Vegas. Vegas only had the pig farm, and that pig farm owner sold his shit for like $60 million, and they put houses there. So, you know, I'm talking about this because it's just been on my mind. I feel like people need to start to travel. Go to Philly. Go to Pennsylvania. Go check out Philly. See how they're doing it. See their landscape, see their resources and what they have. You don't never really hear Pennsylvania complaining about they need water. Look at these states, y'all. But you know who you hear complaining about need water? Arizona, California, and Vegas. Every year they become like, Vegas is so bad, they want everybody to get desert landscape in the front and the back. They don't want you turning on that water at all. Matter of fact, if I'm not surprised, Vegas gonna be like, I want y'all niggas to take one shower and that's it, a week. Because I know it's gonna get to the fact where Vegas run out of water. I know it's going to get to that point. There's too many people out there and they don't have any resources. So go check out your Pennsylvanias and your Iowas and your Nebraskas, and go check out these Montanas and Oregons and all these Idahos. Check these places out, man. Because I feel like the United States of America is getting back to the agriculture side of the game. They're getting back to the real resources side of the game. And if you don't have no major paper in Vegas and California, you're not going to get no major resources. That's all I'm telling you, man. And enjoy your Black Friday. Chill. Have a great day. Hey, man. Leave your comments. But I'm going to tell you right now, everything that David told me, I've heard from other people that visited the South. They like, you either better go to the South, you better go somewhere. Don't stay your ass in Vegas. Don't stay your ass in California. You're going to be competing with them immigrants. And then if you read Dr. Claude Anderson's Black Labor, White Wealth, didn't he state that we were going to be a permanent underclass to the Hispanics? Isn't that what he stated? Go to Vegas and go look at Vegas in California. It's got Dr. Claude Anderson written all over that shit. That's why that was one of my determining factors. Like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And if I don't like it, I'll just move to somewhere else. But I can't do it. And it has been a great peace of mind. And you know where you stand. That's what I like about out here where I'm at now. I know where I fucking stand. No, I'm not running up in every white person for, hey, bro, I didn't do that shit in Vegas. But I know where I stand. You know where you stand, where you at. Because out there in Vegas, shit, they got all the immigrants doing their dirty work. But anyway, man, we're going to have more conversations about it. Be safe. Don't get to tripping in no Best Buy and Walmart because somebody done took the last PlayStation and all that, man. Don't let these people hype you up. Chill, relax, have you a drink, and enjoy your holiday. Guilty, nigga. I'm out. Peace.